So what I want you to do first, Jim, is just tell us who you are and a little bit about your company.
Blake, I'm Jim Murphy. I'm Safety and Compliance Manager for Lone Star Milk Transport out of Wichita Falls, Texas. We started, or Lone Star Milk was started about 20 plus years ago by the Baird family out of Windthorst, Texas. Many, many years we were based out of Windthorst. We just recently moved our corporate offices to Wichita Falls. But Jim Baird and his son Jason actually started the company. And they felt the need, they weren't getting what they desired in getting their milk transported to the market. So they purchased their own truck and started hauling their own milk. We haul milk from dairy to final processing. In that, some of the local dairy farmers in Windthorst began asking them to haul their milk. So as it evolved through the years, to present day, we're up to 200 trucks, over 500 trailers, and we haul milk all over the United States.
Great. How long have you been an Infinit-I client?
We've been with Infinit-I for about three and a half years.
And so what were you doing before doing online safety training?
Before that, before we went to Infinit-I, we had the standard J.J. Keller type DVDs and different safety videos, and by which to get a driver to do a safety training, you would have to bring him into a home terminal. Well, as long as you had 5, 10, 15 drivers, that was a pretty easy task. But as we grew to over 200 and times 250 drivers, it just becomes an increasingly monumental task to get everybody to come by a terminal to do their safety training.
So what factors played a role with you besides that into going to the online part of it?
Well, with the online, we can assign the training, and we do it online through their smartphones, so they can just log on anywhere they're at when they have some downtime and do their monthly training.
Did you face any challenges when you first started the Infinit-I program, and what were they if you did?
We had challenges. A lot of our drivers are elderly drivers. We have pretty much 100% no-touch freight. So most of our drivers are retired, going to second careers, older gentlemen. They were just technically challenged. And so that was an obstacle to overcome.
Excellent. Yeah, so how did you overcome?
Well, we did a lot of one-on-one type training. We brought them in and worked with them one-on-one to show them the smartphones. We now incorporate that as part of our orientation process. We have a block of our orientation that shows them specifically how to access the Infinit-I module and do their safety training online.
Now, are your company drivers, or you have owner-operators, or both?
We have both, but primarily company drivers. We enforce the safety program with our company drivers, but the outside haulers, as we refer to them, are responsible for their own safety programs.
Okay. All right.
Does every one of your drivers have a smartphone that they can do this?
Yes, sir. We issue smartphones to every driver.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Good question. Yes, sir.
What kind of data plan do you use?
I'm not in that department. It's an AT&T plan. So we have roughly 400 phones in our operation. So it's all under one plan. But our administrator takes care of that, our IT department.
Do you know what your phone bill is monthly for your smartphone?
I have no idea. I know we've just recently renegotiated with AT&T, but I don't have the dollars on that.
Good questions. Now, how did you introduce the program to your drivers again?
Once we decided to go with the Infinit-I program, we did a rollout letter, sent it to all the drivers, explaining to them what we were going to do. Then, as I said earlier, we brought them in, did one-on-one training, did the rollout program with them on that, and then, of course, we incorporated it for our new drivers and oncoming drivers to be a part of it, we roll it into our orientation process.
What kind of response did you get? Well, sorry, go ahead. Question. No, what kind of response did you get from your drivers when you first rolled it out?
At first, it was pretty negative response. Nobody wanted to jump into new territory. You know, you can't, the old saying, you can't teach the old dog new tricks. But the older guys really took to it really well once they learned the phone and were comfortable with using the phone. And it's just something they look for now every month. Every month they get an email. You've got training today.
What kind of rewards program or incentives do you give your drivers when they complete these tests?
We have a monthly safety video that we put up every month. It goes out via email telling them they have the assigned training. We pay them $15 once the training is complete.
Where do you get your videos?
We basically get all of our information right out of the library of Infinit-I. It's all loaded in there, right there for you. You just pick the topic. We rotate, keep a list of what topics we've covered, how often we ought to rotate back. You know, some of them you want to rotate in every 2 or 3 months, recover, but we assign one a month.
From rollout to inception, how much time are we talking about training with a fleet of 200?
I would say,
Take the equation of the older drivers out, the younger, more high-tech guys.
I would say next to none. You just put it out there and inform them that it's there. Your younger drivers are going to take to it, and you should have no problems. One thing I can say, Vertical Alliance has a customer service that is next to none.
Amen. What is the length of your typical monthly training?
The length of the video is typically a little 10, 12, 15-minute video. Takes about 15 minutes to do it.
Yeah, but I already forgot. I'll think of it.
All right.
I got one for you. And this is for you, Blake.
Okay.
I don't think our company would be in a position to buy 200 smartphones or get that contract. Will this system work with all operating systems as long as it's a smartphone device with T-Mobile, Sprint, all, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. There's one device that it does not work on today, but it's expected to work on because they're changing their operating system, and that's a BlackBerry. BlackBerry is going to an Android-based operating system, and as soon as that's complete, it will work on there. And I will tell you, you probably need to look at about 2007 and I guess more current phones. If you get any that are 2007 and sooner, there's a small chance that it may not work on there because of the older operating systems. We went mobile in 2009, I believe, 2009, 2010. And so we programmed back a couple years for the operating systems, but we've stayed current on all the new operating systems. And we use a technology that I know Steve's going to cover tomorrow, but it's HTML5. And that allows you to be able to access the videos, any kind of PDFs or PowerPoints on your phone without them having to download anything. And that's just the brand new technology. But I will say if they do have an older phone, it may not be as effective.
I remember.
Okay.
Do you do remedial training, you know, like an individual driver maybe?
Yes, sir. We also use it for remedial training. We have a driver that gets a citation, has an accident, whatever. In part of the counseling process, we feel that remedial training is called for. We will assign that driver the remedial training. We set a date and a window that he has to have it completed by. We get a report saying this driver's completed it. It's a very effective tool.
Is the technology here now, or will it be coming, it can integrate like an Omnitrax or cloud, PeopleNet, a lot of people use a lot of different systems. We're going to start beta testing in the near future Wi-Fi in our trucks. So
For like your McLeod systems, we do have an API that's you'll get to take back with you. It's documentation that you can hand over to the IT team, but we do integrate with systems. And no matter what system it is, it takes a little programming on their side and a little bit of programming on our side. So the communication between the two IT teams is important. Some of the systems currently that have access to Wi-Fi, the cab systems, you can watch the videos on right now. There's some that we're programming towards, like PeopleNet's one that we're working towards being able to work if it's not their tablet device, but their other device, I think it's the Bluetooth, that we're working on getting it programmed because they use a little bit of an older software program that we're having a program for.
Typically, what is the data draw on? Let's say a driver uses his own phone, what kind of data draw? Because you know the question that the driver's gonna ask, okay, what are you gonna pay me? I'm using my own phone.
Well, let's give it a
I
shot.
can give you a pretty good answer. I actually part of our IT department. That question comes up quite a bit. It's obvious why. If you were to assign, most of our videos are 5-7 minutes long. Some are a little bit longer than that. Most companies will assign maybe 4 or 5 of those in a month. We're looking for a total of about 30 minutes of video time altogether. Because the videos are short, our IT people, and again, we have to kind of base it on averages, but that's probably about a third of a gig of data in a month or less. So it's not really going to beat up somebody's day plan very much. Most people have at least a gig, most have more than that. It depends on how much they use it for other things, but that's about what it rolls out to be. So it hasn't been a really big issue, although the question comes up very frequently. So about a third of a month, if you do it about 30 minutes a week. Might be a little more if you're a hazmat carrier, you got to go through the hazmat recertification training, which is about 10 or 11 videos. If you do that in a month, it might be a little bit more. But that's
Another new question, does this appease the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association as far as quarterly safety meetings?
Yes, it does. In fact, any training that's done on the system, when a driver logs in with a username and password and completes the test as it was set up to be passing grade, it will say to do it 100%. We've been through DOT audits, we've been in courtrooms with it. It constitutes a legal digital signature, so every training is dated and timestamped, and that holds up in court and the DOT audit. And frankly, insurance carriers are very favorable to the system. We have quite a few insurance companies that are offering discounts on our system, or we offer a discount through relationships that we have with the insurance carriers. Because essentially what happens if you're a company that's done quarterly safety meetings, and you might get 50% of those drivers through a safety meeting at court. You might do better than that, but it's not uncommon to get those kind of numbers. When an insurance carrier looks at it, now you might be able to get 80 or 90% of your drivers trained once a month. So in the end, you're gonna see reductions in accidents and incidents. A lot of clients see that. Obviously, that's how the insurance companies are going to view your risk is based on what's happening. But they're very much favorable to this kind of thing.
Analytics, reports.
Pardon me?
What kind of analytics are you
Reports.
Reports, then you'll get a report called a progress report telling you which of your drivers have taken the reports or taken the safety video, what their score on the video was. We, just to answer some of your questions, we were only experiencing maybe 50% of our drivers doing the online training before our last boot camp that Brad and I came down. And after listening to Dean, we had our passing score at 80%. He'll cover a lot of this for you in the next couple of days. But Dean, we went home and kicked our scores up to 100%. We want them to know that they've covered that material and that they've retained that material because you never know when they're going to have to draw on it. We also got with the customer service department. We would just send, or they would know that they had a safety video the first of every month. Now we've got with customer service, we've loaded our drivers into the base. They get an email as soon as we put the email up for the month. they get an email. If they haven't completed that, then they get reminders. And we started getting calls. We were just inundated with calls. How do I turn this off? How do I keep this warning? Take your safety training. Do your safety training. And you won't get those. Now we're up to about 85 to 90%.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, so one of the things that they weren't doing, I noticed, they didn't have the email addresses loaded into the system. Once they went back after boot camp, they loaded them in and they let the system do the primary work for them, which is something that you can do. Yes, sir.
In response to the mobile usage,
Yes, sir.
our system, we use Teletrack and it has Android tablets. They can take that tablet right out of the truck, go into the truck stop while they're eating dinner and use the Wi-Fi, so they're not using any mobile data. So they,
I like this guy.
it just happens that we're using the little 7-inch Android tablet, but your home computer, your tablet, I did a lot of mine here in the last few weeks. I've used both of my different cell phones. I've used my tablet, I've used my laptop, and I've not had an issue with any of it, other than me failing the first time.
We also have a kiosk set up in each one of our terminals. So if a driver comes in waiting to pick up a load, got time to kill, he can go over and knock it out.
That's what we do in the shop, and we bring them in and get them logged on and show them how to do it. And some of these guys have never, ever used a computer, and their phone is a flip phone, you know. I mean, I know. I've got drivers that are 75 years old, and we've taught them to do it, you know, no problem. Is anywhere you can get on the internet, you can do it, right?
That's right. That is right. One of the questions that we get asked, and I know it's not on my list, but I'm going to ask you, is a lot of people want to know, when do you make your drivers do the training? If so, are they doing it on duty? Are they doing it off duty? When are they doing it?
We require that the drivers do it. When they do it, it's up to them. In our industry, the drivers have a lot of downtime. You go to a milk plant to offload, you're going to be there 3, 5, 6 hours. So a lot of them, when they're kicked back in the sleeper, they'll just knock their safety training out.
I do have a question. Would there be any, we've just put 5 new sleeper trucks, and we've started with DirecTV in the trucks of service. And I was just thinking out loud, that any idea if that would, a way to use, to be able to use it in there with that interface?
That's a good question.
It's a satellite
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
I mean, they use the same satellite for they could use their tablet in the truck already, but because they do have Wi-Fi connectivity there.
I think I can answer the question. You talk about FQ, correct? DirecTV through the
Yes.
FQ?
Yes.
FQ is one of the companies, we just started that as well. We're gonna beta test Wi-Fi through FQ, through their satellite system.
Okay.
They just don't have the system integrated up and running yet. And they're looking at 3 to 6 months.
Oh,
Before that's up.
right.
Well, thank you. I didn't know the answer.
Well, that answered that question.
Yes, it did. So are you just using the training for your drivers, or are you using it for maintenance, or anybody else?
We use it company-wide. We use for annual training for the office staff, safety meetings for our maintenance personnel, office personnel. So no, we're not just limited to drivers.
Have you noticed, I know you mentioned that you saw an increased participation. Have you noticed any other results that you've achieved with using the program?
Well, from the start, we've noticed probably about a 20% improvement in our CSAs. It greatly improved our maintenance scores in the CSA. So yes, we have.
Okay. Do you use any kind of custom content at this time?
We have a little custom content. We're planning on using more custom content. As they'll also tell you, if you get permission to, If you have a J.J. Keller video, or if you have a video of your own, they will upload that content for you to be in your library to use. One of our plans are to put a major portion of our orientation process on custom content, and the savings are going to be astronomical if you can cut bringing a guy in, housing him for 2 or 3 days. If you can cut that down by a day and a half or 2 days, look at the savings for your company. So,
When you cut your CSA scores down, did you use CSA minutes?
pardon me?
Did you use any of the CSA minutes?
I'm not sure. That was right before I came to work. They noticed all that.
I learned how to align the wheels on a truck the other day, and then I asked, why did the HR manager need to know that? And he said, because if your guys are going to be doing it and they have a question, you need to know how to answer it.
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, any other questions? I got 1 or 2 questions left, but
In what other ways do you use the system besides training? I mean, are there any other benefits besides just training your drivers?
Right now, we're just primarily using it in training. As I said, we're going to do some custom content with our orientation processes. Guys, one thing I can see coming, when the mandate comes out, and we all have to go to e-logs, there's going to be a world of training that have to be done. So we're looking already at using custom content for that and upload that to help familiarize drivers with whatever system we go to for e-log.
all right, last question for me is how has Infinit-I impacted your job?
It's made our life a lot easier. I mean, we sit there in the office and load the content up, push a button in our safety training stuff. We're about getting a safety briefing or getting guys in for a safety meeting.
How much administrative time are we talking? You are integrating their email accounts and vertical lines and doing all the work. How much time are you issuing administrative assistant or whatever? What part of her week does that take up for his week?
It takes about 5 minutes. Pull it up. They'll explain to you how to go in, and we were having to go in and assign location by location. We learned in the boot camp that we can put all those in one group. We've got an LSMT driver group. We select that group, assign the video, punch the button, you're done.
Question. Any other questions before we let them off the seat? All right, Jim, thank you so much.